The power grid is bound to fail sometime in the near future. Scientists, what are some scary scientific discoveries that most of the public is unaware of? The night sky is just an illusion. When you look up at a star, that star might be 80 million light years away, meaning the light from that star took 80 million years to reach Earth, which means you're looking at a star that is from 80 million years ago and isn't actually there today, which means the night sky is a night sky for millions of years ago. What would the sky look like today? There is a theory that if we can invent something to go faster than the speed of light millions of light years away in a few days, weeks or months, you'd be able to look back at Earth and see dinosaurs walking. The planet time travel is real. We just don't have the advanced technology to do it. The world has 70% fewer insects on average than it did 40 years ago. We really are coming up on our silent spring. For the people saying there are fewer pests, those aren't the ones we're worried about. Insect pollinators are vital to so many crops. We could be facing serious problems with certain food supplies soon. In recent years, China has had issues with apple and pear crops to the point where some regions have had to pollinate crops by hand. Also, insects form lower blocks of many food webs, and their disappearance will spell true love for higher trophic levels. An asteroid impact crater was recently discovered in Greenland last year, November 2018, due to melting ice caps in the area. This crater could be as recent as 12,000 years ago, and if that's true, it completely changes our understanding of 1. How frequently mass extinction events happen, and 2. The history of human civilization. All of a sudden, global flood myth, ancient landmarks, pyramids, Sphinx, and other mysteries line up with the global population getting wiped out on thousands of years of rebuild communication systems across the Earth for days, months, or even years, mixing power grids, satellites, GPS, the internet, telephones, transportation systems, banking, you name it. I think the biggest factor here would be the fact that nobody would know what happened. The most relevant recent incident was the Carrington event of 1959. The analog world of the time remarked that some telegraph operators were continuing to send and receive messages after disconnecting the device's power supplies. Today, the disruption would be catastrophic in highly unpredictable ways. Like, for example, what would the results of a toxin pulse into the world environment be like after a billion small electrical fires ignite tons of plastic and solder? The total breakdown of the delivery of the network would instantly start the 6 weeks to starvation countdown. And then there's the unfortunate fact that the vast majority of people in my country at least have no survival skills whatsoever, and the first thing they'll do for answers are reach for their non-functional phones while Martians will be barbecuing their neighbors within the week. You watch the star Betelgeuse and Orion may be about to go supernova. We've known it's going to go supernova soon. That's astronomy soon, as it could be tomorrow or in 200 years. Betelgeuse is a variable star, so it gets brighter or dimmer all the time, but it just got dimmer than we've ever seen it before. No one knows 100 what's going on if Betelgeuse does go supernova. All of our satellites and stuff will be fine. The solar wind will protect us. The main problem is we will have no night for a while, maybe weeks, so it'll really throw animals off. The Cascadia subduction zone is overdue for an adjustment that will cause an earthquake so catastrophic that FEMA considers everything west of the I-5 total loss and only has plans to help those to the east of the interstate when the next very big earthquake hits the northwest edge of the continent. From California to Canada and the continental shelf to the Cascades will drop by as much as 6 feet and rebound 30 to 100 feet to the west, losing within minutes all of the elevation and compression it has gained over centuries. Some of that shift will take place beneath the ocean, displacing the colossal quantity of seawater. Watch what your fingertips do when you flat your hand. The water will surge upward into a huge hill, then promptly collapse. One side will rush west toward Japan. The other side will rush east in a 700-mile liquid wall that will reach the northwest coast on average 15 minutes after the earthquake begins. By the time the shaking has ceased and the tsunami has receded, the region will be unrecognizable. Kenneth Murphy, who directs FEMA's Region X, the division responsible for Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Alaska, says, "Our operating assumption is that everything west of Interstate 5 will be TOAs." Neuroscience students hear false memories. Our memory is actually super unreliable. Within an experiment, it's frighteningly common for a participant to really truly believe they remember or experienced something that we know for sure didn't happen. Not only that, but we also still don't know exactly how memories are encoded, how our brain decides which to keep and which to give away, and why we can remember some things vividly and some not at all. We also don't know if every memory is stored separately or if different memories converge for you to be able to understand patterns. If you formed a new memory for soccer ball every time you saw soccer ball, you wouldn't be able to recognize what the soccer ball is, for example. Either way, different memories can influence each other greatly, causing even your most vivid memories to be potentially false. For all we know, your mental image of, say, your 7th birthday party could be completely fabricated by your own brain, and you don't have any way of knowing artificial general intelligence age in. In other words, a digital computer that is superhuman in all cognitive tasks. Humans are imbued by evolution with a sort of general learning algorithm, but it's running in a very slow biological computer with low input/output speed, talking, tapping, thumbs, reading, etc. Once we can implant that algorithm in silicon, a computer chip, there's a good chance it'll be superhuman in a matter of days, or less, sort of on the level of the intelligence gap you might feel between you and a mosquito. At that point, it doesn't even have to be malicious to destroy all of humanity, as Max Demark has put it. The real risk with artificial general intelligence isn't malice but competence. A super intelligent AI will be extremely good at accomplishing its goals, and if those goals aren't aligned with ours, we're in trouble. The implications of this would be all-encompassing. It would change the whole game, and many top experts believe it could happen within the next 10 years. The vast overuse of antibiotics has led to superbugs that are antibiotic resistant. At the same time, the diversity of microbes within the human have drastically decreased in the first world countries. This leads to a correlated rise in allergies and gastrointestinal diseases as we use more antibiotics, antibacterial/viral products. Then biodiversity of microbes decrease, and superbugs have a much easier pathway of invading the body. With a very biodiverse microbiome of your resident microbes will try to fight off of invading the body, not killing all of it. I'm from Milagro. Terribly seismic active place. However, every 100 years or so there's a kind of big earthquake. According to historical records, we didn't have it so far, although it'd be about time. During the last 100 years, we've been building taller buildings than ever, but the lower requirements for buildings weren't up to date in order to resist that sort of big earthquake. Basically, there's a huge batch of buildings waiting to collapse under this earthquake, and the issue is mostly ignored. It's one of those low-risk scenarios with a huge bill to fix them associated to them. Fortunately, new buildings are supposed to be prepared for anything you throw at them. When we look deeper and deeper into the universe, dark matter, quantum mechanics, and unified field theory, we always come up with the same answer: we can't go faster than this. There is a hidden wall in the universe, for lack of a better explanation. Has a frame rate like FPS in a video game. You travel faster than that. The universe can no longer record. You cease to exist on the film strip of this reality. After further investigation into this, the phenomenon gets creepier that this frame rate is an exact multiple of a hidden frequency in the background radiation of the universe. Do you know something else that works like this computer? Our frame rate may actually be a clock rate. More and more evidence that we are in a simulation, and the reason we will never have all the answers is because the system is designed to protect itself from this. Many people may be silent carriers for mad cow disease and won't know for another decade or so. Mad cow disease from the 1980s was due to cows being fed the remains of other animals. People then ate their beef and consumed prions, a protein that can destroy the human brain. It's thought that many people still might carry prions but won't know until they start experiencing the symptoms of Hertzfeld-Jakob disease or bovine spongiform encephalopathy, which might be 10 to 50 years after consuming the contaminated meat. It has a long incubation period. You can also contract the prions from blood transfusions, which is why so many UK citizens from that time period still isn't allowed to donate blood. Once the symptoms begin, cognitively impairment, memory loss, hallucinations, etc., usually die within months. There is no cure or treatment. The power grid is bound to fail sometime in the near future. Many could go without electricity and cell phone signal due to population increase, and the technology of the power grid remains the same. If anything were to break, go wrong, or to be hacked, thousands, possibly entire continents would be AskReddit could be fixed within hours or days, or take years. It all depends. I recommend solar power, manpower, and backup batteries. Climate change is much worse than many projections, and we've hit the point where runaway feedback loops have become a real possibility. Many of them have not been sufficiently studied to rule out a truly catastrophic the positive feedback loop of warming. The two big ones are methane released from permafrost or methane hydrates in the ocean. As the permafrost melts, there are billions of tons of organic matter which will begin to rot and release methane in the same way. Huge amounts of methane are trapped in very cold deep waters. Is essentially an ice complex with water. Methane is a very effective greenhouse gas, and the increasing temperatures will liberate more methane as the temperature climbs. Oceanic carbon dioxide being liberated by increasing temperatures. Cold water holds more gases than the ocean has been soaking up, most like 40 of the carbon emissions, which is what causes acidification of the carboxylic acid from absorbed cotwo. While at the temperature of the ocean gets higher, the ability of the ocean to uptake cotwo will decrease. Eventually, the oceans could release cotwo instead of acting as a sink. This would then cause warming, which could release more cotwo. Now there is research that points out that this will probably not happen if we can keep warming to 2 degrees Celsius, but we're not on track to keep warming to that level. Our immune system is very amazing at what it does, but it is also super dangerous. B cells and T cells have the potential of being very self-reactive. They can slip past cells that are supposed to kill self-reactive immune cells, and they can cause autoimmunity. To help combat autoimmunity in super important parts of the body as genitalia, brain, etc., then these areas become immune privileged. Basically, immune cells can't go in those areas at all. One of the most terrifying things is infections using those immune privileged sites to their advantage. In Ebola survivors, the virus can hide in those sites and reinfect the patient. Later on, in one case, Ebola was in the eye of a survivor and caused his eye to change color. In other cases, Ebola was transferred as an STD because it was hiding in the genitalia of a survivor who transferred to their sexual partner. The Higgs boson, which was hypothesized decades ago, was discovered via the Large Hadron Collider. Its real-life discovery proved that it's what gives mass to everything, but there is a non-zero chance that a Higgs boson can drop to a lower energy state, and because of the law of entropy, it's the preferred state to decay to a lower energy state if possible. The influence of a low energy state boson would kick off a chain reaction, causing other Higgs bosons to drop to a lower energy state. The problem with this is that if a Higgs boson drops to a lower energy state, then it can't give mass to things anymore, which has universal implications when mass doesn't have mass anymore. It's theorized that the infinitesimal, a small probability of this occurring, could lead to a circumstance where the universe as we know it disappears. Essentially, it would occur like an absolute void progressing through the universe. Low energy state Higgs bosons infecting any other Higgs boson they come across, maybe the closest thing to a Thanos snap, but it causes everything to disappear in the universe, but only at the speed of light rather than instantaneously. Thanks for listening. The subscribe button and activate the notification bell for more things you don't want to know. Let us know in the comments what you think about these stories.